everybody, this is Michael at Gotcha Rocks. This is part 2 of making an opal ring. So we're going through the process of actually cutting out the hole in the wax and actually carving the ring. So enjoy. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please do that and give me a like. That'd be awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy. Bye. This is a jeweler's saw, and I'm using a wax blade here, and we're going to basically put this right through one of these holes, like so. So it's just kind of dangling like that. I just unhooked one of my sides. So we're going to hook this back up. I do this like this, just kind of hold it, and then open this up and tighten it up. So now we have this like this, okay? We're going to put this right on the bench block, and this is why we have those scribe lines. So working straight up and down, we're not tilting this, doing anything, we're just going straight up and down. We're going to start cutting towards that next hole. Okay, we're at hole number 2. There we go, and out comes that. So now we have a little hole there, and we can get our cylinder burr in there with our flex shaft and clean it up a little bit and grind it out. To get this out, just unhook one side. Voila, you're done. All right, so I'm using my flex shaft again. I have the cylinder burr on there, and we're going to cut out the center. Note of caution, do not cut into your lines. Make sure you're not cutting into the lines underneath, so be very careful. Kind of cut like this, do one side at maybe a little slight angle. Get it cleaned up a little bit. Flip it over and do the other side. So I've ground this center portion out, and I'm going to just check it on a mandrel. This is a ring mandrel, and we're going to just see what size we're at right now. So if I really kind of force this down, I'm looking at it, it's hard to see, but we're probably at a 9.5. Now I've only taken this to my sort of my safety first line that I did. So this next line here is the 13.5 supposedly. So I'm going to keep grinding, and I'm going to actually show you one more tool that you can use that does a really nice job of finishing this up. This is a wax ring sizer, and it has this like really sharp little edge here. If you can see that. And this helps to scrape the inside. So you kind of has like goes up to, says it goes up to 12, but I usually just use this portion here, and I just kind of scrape like this. And I slowly work towards the line that I want to reach. And what I like about this is that it gives a really nice, smooth, finished, wax inside, as opposed to using your cylinder burr, which is great for removing a lot of material fast. But if you're trying to do fine-tuned stuff where you actually need to hit the proper size, this right here, if I can get, there we go, is the thing that you need. So I'll also put a link in for this. So one thing with this, you don't want to throw it in the drawer with a whole bunch of other metal things, because if this little blade gets damaged or nicked or dinged, it will leave a line in your wax every time. So you want to just kind of keep it separate, or have a little pouch for it or something. Anyways, take care of it. That's all I'm saying. Getting a little closer. Now we're down to about 12.5. So I'm just going to keep working on this. All right, I've been working at this for a little bit and I actually had to go get a bigger mandrel because my other one only went to 12. So this one goes up to 15, so I'm gonna slide this on. I just did a couple little marks just so you could see. First dot is the 13, the next one's the 14. So we're going right in between. My goal is to get that center line to hit the line that's on the mandrel. So I think we've done it and it's good enough for right now because it's gonna lose a little bit of metal after we actually clean it up after the casting. So we're gonna move on to the next part. Here's the next step. This is our drawing, right? So this is the design we're gonna do. This is our opal. I've written top on the top of my wax. Now I just picked a side that I thought would be best for setting the opal. So I actually have to recess this out and actually put the opal into it. So I picked a side that was a little bit thicker and we're gonna kind of go like this, and I wanna kind of position it like so. Now the way I'm gonna attach this is I'm actually gonna use a little bit of sticky wax, and I'm gonna use my pen tool here, and I'm gonna heat this up and kind of just make it kind of goopy or sticky, and then I'm just gonna stick the opal on there and I'll show you what I do next. All right, so I have my pen tool and I'm using, it's called the Master Touch and it's by Cure Lab. So basically it has a little foot pedal and it heats up this pen. You can see it start to smoke there. And all I want to do is just grab a little bit of wax, kind of go like this, and put it on here. The only reason that this is on here is just to hold my opal. And all I'm trying to do is just kind of position this so that it will look good on there. And you know, so in the drawing, it's a little off center like this. So I want to make sure that I'm accomplishing that. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this until it looks good. And I think that looks pretty good. My next step is to actually scribe around the opal. You know, I just want to have a little mark on this wax where the opal will go. And what I'm using is I use these a lot. These are miniature screwdrivers, and I just picked up a pack on Amazon, and you get tons of different varieties. And if you need to like make one that has a little point, just grind one of them off that you're not going to really use, and now you've got a scribe. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scribe around this, like so. This is just a guideline. You know, if you're working with an opal or something like that, just make sure that you're not banging up against the opal. That's it. Pop the opal off. Just give it a little twist back and forth until it breaks off. There we go. So the opal wasn't heated or anything like that, so it wouldn't be damaged, but now we have this nice line that represents where the opal will go. Now we can design the rest of the ring based off of our drawing using our scribing. Okay. Now that I have my scribe mark, or you know, where the opal will go, I'm going to just kind of follow the edges of this all the way around. So I've just measured from this edge over to the scribe mark here, and I'm just going to make a line straight across. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay. Now I want to look at this. This is going to have kind of like a wider band, but you can see that it tapers in and becomes smaller than this area here. So this is going to be wider and this is going to be a little thinner. So we want to kind of represent that as we come through here. So the way to do that is just to go in. So here's our line. I'll kind of go like this. Here's where the opal will go. Once again, I'm just kind of eyeballing this a little bit. I'm going to go in. Let's just say about there. So this will be kind of maybe the width of the band on the bottom. Now you can always change this, but it's just good to have a line. I'm going to take that right to there. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So even if you're doing an asymmetrical kind of design like this, where the opal isn't squared up, you still have to have everything else squared up. Okay, so something like that. Now what we're going to do is start to remove portions of this until we get something that's close to that shape. All right, so I'm going to start removing portions of this so that it starts to actually look like a ring instead of a big old block with a hole in it. So what I like to do, this is the top, obviously that's where the opal goes. I like to remove this bottom portion, and we are going to accidentally, or not accidentally, we are going to remove these lines, but then since we have these lines up here, we can easily put them right back on. So we want to start to shape this so that it looks like a ring, and then we can start actually doing the design elements that are going to make the ring, you know, really cool. So here we go. I'm going to take this portion off first. This is the bottom. I've removed the bottom portion and I've taken it right down to that first line or ring that we did. So, you know, we've got the inside ring, and then I guess this would be the second ring. And the top, that's right there. So we're getting closer to something that could actually be worn. So before we remove these other parts, we want to transfer these lines that we made up here back onto this, okay? So how do you think we do it? Just like before. So we're going to just take our scribe, then we're going to measure it out, and we're going to just draw them right on there. All right, so I've put all the lines back on this portion where I had removed it. So those lines go all the way around. Now my next step is I could remove this kind of big square section, but I think what I'm going to do first is actually make a seat for that opal. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my little miniature screwdrivers here, and I'm actually going to carve into this and scrape it out. So it's a little bit time consuming, but that's how I do it. So I've been working on this for a little while, and I've just been using this miniature screwdriver. Got it pretty well cut out, and now the opal fits right in there, which is awesome. Exactly what we want. Now, if you're doing this and you get your stones stuck in there like I did, I always do one little thing beforehand when I think I'm getting close. I put a little hole right in the back. Let's see if I can show you here. Right there. So that way I can kind of go like this, take a toothpick, and it'll just pop it right up. So I always use a toothpick just because it won't hurt the stone, or it's less likely to hurt the stone. So there we go. Pop this out. Now we know that fits, and we can move on to the next section. So this inside portion where we have the hole, we can just fill that back in when we're ready to. Now that I have the seat made, I'm going to remove all this and try not to interfere with any of the lines that are down here, because we're going to grind this off, you know, make it look like the ring in the drawing, and then we'll transfer all these lines back on from there. Here we go. Just as before, I'm using a cylinder burr. All right, so I put my scribe lines back on. I've removed a good portion of this, so you can see there. So it's looking a little bit closer to the ring in the picture. Next, I'm going to remove this bottom portion just up to this line to make it so it's a little bit smaller when you actually put it on your finger, that, you know, the the top is thicker. So I'm going to remove this portion now, and I'm just going to taper it up to the top. So that's the plan. I already have the wax pretty much carved. And I'll put in the detail probably in a minute here. But so everything looks good to me. This actually looks like the ring in the picture, which I'll show you real quick. It's this one. And we're going to put in some of this decorative stuff. But first, you know, it's still pretty coarse here, so we're going to take some fine sandpaper, and I just go like this. And just start sanding it down till it's nice and smooth, and then we'll be ready to put the details in.